Hey, it's Ashley, AMC Me, and we're back with some more chapters from the web novel Marry My Husband. Um, Thank you so much for sticking around for this long. Um, if you like the video, don't forget to leave a like, a comment, and subscribe. If you don't know what to put, just say, that was awesome. and leave an emoji. It helps with getting my videos out there. Anyways, when we last left off, it was a cliffhanger. They finally smoked Suman out and they got her to show up at some pub because she thought she was meeting Eunho, so she could try and get him to not confess how he feels to Jiwon, because she always has to be the wrench in anything Jiwon has that's going well. And we found out her mom knows that Suman is a piece of shit, and it seems like Suman was pregnant previously before she moved to Seoul to go terrorize Jiwon permanently again. And what she's doing to Minwon is not her first trip down manipulation lane. Well, we obviously can tell from how she treats Jiwon. But yes, let's get into chapter 56, Suman's shocking reveal 1. Suman flinched in surprise. Soon her eyes would probably tear up too. It was obvious. What are you talking about? I don't understand what you're saying, Jiwon. Suman mumbled as her eyes brimmed with tears. Jiwon pulled out a few documents from her bag and set them on a table. This is your notice of dismissal. The reasons being that you left work without notice and were absent without notice. Suman didn't even attempt to read the documents. She knew she wasn't going to become a full-time employee anyways, so she'd basically given up already. Jiwon looked down at Suman with unaffected eyes. You'll receive the official documents soon, too. They sent them to the address you left on file, but if they're returned, they'll be sent to your home in Busan. Keep an eye out for them. Official documents? Yes, a certification of proof. Finally, Suman's mouth dropped open. She was completely flustered. Proof of what? How I didn't go to work for a few measly days? Or the small mistake I made in the past? A small mistake? Jiwon was incredulous. Accidentally almost killing someone with allergies is a serious mistake. Wait. Accidentally almost killing someone with allergies is a small mistake according to your standards? They should have been careful and paid attention to what they were eating since they have allergies, Suman shot back. That happened because they crammed food down their throats just because it was free. She and Minwon sure are a match made in heaven. Jiwon was amazed. Their souls must have been twins, seeing how they immediately started pointing fingers at someone else, regardless of whether or not it was their fault. You should be grateful the customer isn't dead, she said sternly. If the situation was worse, it would have been you. It would have been your end, too. Ooh. Well, he's fine now anyway. Stop pestering me over something that's already been resolved, Suman said. This is why I have depression and haven't been able to go to work. Suman was talking back to everything Jiwon said. That was when the waterworks finally burst. People who had originally been focusing on the baseball game began slowly glancing their way with raised eyebrows. Ah, I must seem like the one in the wrong here. Jiwon felt the curiosity and reproach in their gazes. Well, their opinions didn't matter. That's what I want to say, Suman, Jiwon said in a soft, low voice as she leaned over the table. It was resolved, and we could have moved on from it. So why did you send a package in Miss Yang's name? Suman blinked. Package? What package? Jiwon patiently gave a detailed explanation of the product in question. You sent it to the customer's home, an entire box of it at that. I didn't. Why would I do that? Suman intensely shook her head in denial, her just curled hair bouncing along. Are you saying I'm going to receive a certification of proof for something I didn't even do? So you're saying you didn't know anything about this? Jiwon asked. Suman nodded this time. Really? I swear to God. Then I guess there's nothing I can do for you, Jiwon smiled. I came to try and fix the situation as your friend, not your work superior. I was worried about you because the corporate legal team is getting involved too. Anxiety flickered across Suman's eyes. The the legal team? The customer hired a lawyer because his wife fainted from high blood pressure. Of course, the legal team has to respond to it. Your number was on the list of recent calls that the customer submitted, so I thought it was you. It's a relief that it isn't. I was so worried. Jiwon said lightly. She waved down a wandering employee, lifting her empty glass. Another beer, please? The employee set a bottle down on the table. Jiwon took a few gulps of the chilled, frothy drink and wiped her mouth. I was going to say hi to Unho before I left, but it looks like he's running late. I should get going. You're leaving? Already? Suman asked, suddenly fretful. I'm going to work from home instead of doing my overtime at the office, she said. Don't worry about work with the way things have turned out. I'm sure there'll be a good spot for you somewhere else. Jiwon didn't forget to emphasize some words of encouragement before she turned away from the table. Suman frantically latched onto her bag strap. Jiwon! Of course, Suman and Minwon were the easiest people to control once you knew how. Hmm? Um, I... Now that I think about it, I think I made a mistake. Jiwon sat down and feigned surprise. What do you mean, a mistake? There was a package that I sent. I sent a package of our new products out, excluding the problematic one in Miss Yang's name, she explained. But then I got an angry call. Suman wrapped her arms around her body. She shivered like she was scared just thinking about it. I wanted to appease the upset customer and apologize to Miss Yang, but I must have sent out the wrong box, she said. The customer was so mad and he was so scary. Suman covered her face with her hands and began to sob. The way her shoulders shook made it seem like a pitiful victim of a terrible tragedy. Is Miss Yang in trouble because of what happened? Is she getting sued and all that? Jiwon showed no reaction to Suman's tears. You're the one in trouble, not Miss Yang. Miss Yang is fine. She went to the hospital and formally apologized to the customer. She'll probably have to write up an account as the person in charge, but she has a good reputation. She'll be fine. Suman's expression turned sour. She bit her lower lip, the way she habitually did, and quickly tried to hide it. Jiwon calmly persuaded Suman, if it was really a mistake, I'll help you. Let's go to the hospital together and apologize to them. If we can get the man to drop the lawsuit, the legal team won't have to hold you responsible. It's best just to close this incident quickly and quietly, right? After scaring Suman, Jiwon had no doubt that she would follow her, since it gave her hope that there was a way out of this mess. That was the kind of person Suman was, and Jiwon knew it all too well, because she had trusted her and ended up being used by Suman her entire life. Are you really going to come with me? Suman asked, scared. Jiwon nodded. Of course. How could I turn away from a friend in need? You wouldn't have made a mistake if I had paid a little more attention to you. So you do know. Suman grumbled with a pout. Jiwon was contemplating how to respond when someone approached their table. Eunho came up to them with a smile. Sorry I'm late, huh? Although Eunho and Jiwon had agreed he wouldn't show up, here he was. Confused, Jiwon greeted him and moved her chair to make space for another. Oh, yeah, it's fine, she said. Eunho stayed standing. Hi, he said to Suman. I'm so sorry. I got caught up with closing the cafe. Long time no see, Suman. Suman sensed the strange dynamic between Eunho and Jiwon. It was an awkward, odd vibe that was hard to place at first. I thought it was just going to be us two, so I was surprised when Jiwon came. But thanks to her, I wasn't bored while I waited for you. Suman subtly probed with an innocent smile. Eunho sensed what she was doing and nipped it in the bud. Jiwon won't come out when I asked to meet up alone. I used you so she'd show up. Thanks for your help. Suman felt something in the pit of her stomach. Was this the help he talked about? Then you asked me to meet because I wanted to confess to Jiwon in person. You know, I like her. Eunho was completely composed. He grinned at Jiwon. I know I'll be turned down, but at least I did it. You don't need to give me a response. Now that I saw you, I'm done. I'll pay for the drinks. So that was why he hadn't sat down. After coming all the way to the bar, Eunho paid for the drinks without taking so much as a single sip of water. I should get going too. I'll take a half day tomorrow, so come to the hospital at 2. Remember, you'll be held accountable for everything if the lawsuit goes through, so don't be late, Jiwon said hurriedly and left with her bag. 2 beer glasses and 2 plates of untouched food were left on the table. Deep creases appeared in Suman's usually smooth forehead. I thought he wanted my help. Did he just play me? She didn't even have time to say what she'd prepared. She downed her beers in one gulp out of frustration. Guess she's not drunk. Or I guess she's not pregnant. The sense of giddiness she had felt when she'd first entered the pub had long disappeared. That bitch. She is fucking lying. She is not pregnant. We already kind of guessed with her mom. Slimy. Disgusting. Okay. Should I go in or not? Suman hesitated at the front of the entrance of the hospital for over 5 hours. She hated taking responsibility for anything. She also hated bowing in front of someone. If only she wasn't getting married soon. She didn't care about the lawsuit or whatever it was. We're going to get married anyway. If I beg my in-laws for us to register our marriage before we have a big ceremony, they won't be able to do anything when they find out about this. She decided not to make it so complicated. I'll just leave. After the long deliberation, she turned around lightheartedly and shrieked, Jiwon! When did you get here? Just now. Jiwon smiled and linked her arms with Suman's. Good thing I came a half hour early. I was going to wait in the lobby, but I would have come even earlier if I'd known you were already here. Suman's plan to leave went up in smoke. She was half dragged by the tall Jiwon into the hospital's elevator. The higher they ascended to the floor where the patients' rooms were, the more annoyed and displeased she felt. When they arrived in front of the room, Suman retreated 2 steps and grabbed Jiwon's hand. Jiwon, she said, I'm scared. You're going to do all the talking for me, right? You don't need to be scared, Miss. Miss Yang and I already apologized once. Plus, they moved the woman to a private room. They're a lot less angry now. This answer seemed to appease Suman, so Jiwon knocked on the door. Excuse us, Jiwon said. Come in, a woman replied. When Jiwon opened the door, she signaled a greeting to the wife. She sat connected to an IV drip. She must have just eaten because her husband was moving aside her tray table. I came to say hello, Jiwon said. How are you feeling? Why do you want to know? The man snapped. Stop popping in and out and find the bitch who put my wife in the hospital. Suman stepped back in surprise when the man shouted furiously. Jiwon grabbed her wrist and forcefully pulled her forward without warning. Ah! Suman shrieked, landing on the floor with a thud. Jiwon slammed the door shut. Here she is. Jiwon! This is different from what you said would happen. Suman jumped up off the ground and tried to hide behind her. Jiwon stepped aside and pushed her back. You should be apologizing, Miss Jong. Why are you hiding behind me? Having nowhere left to hide, Suman froze awkwardly. Then she bowed at a 20-degree angle. I apologize. I'm sorry. Damn her. Jiwon barely stopped herself from rolling her eyes. That's what you call an apologetic attitude? What did you say when you called my wife? The man yelled. What? You don't remember how you went on and on about my wife liking freebies? Apologize properly. On your knees. Suman shot up her minimally bowed head. She glared at the man, annoyed. I'm sorry if I upset you, but I don't even remember what I said. Besides, you're the one who started screaming the moment I answered your call. What was I supposed to say? Ah, Lord, please forgive me for being a righteous assailant. Jiwon carefully moved back and gripped Suman's shoulders, kicking behind her knees. Oh, man, I would love to see that. Ah, Suman shrieked again. Before Suman could catch her balance, Jiwon pressed her down into the floor, forcing her onto her knees. Now Jiwon's promise to the couple was fulfilled. Miss Jong is a bit clumsy. Please be understanding, sir. Hey, Before Suman could finish, the hospital door opened. Ji-hyuk strolled in, followed by Jaron with flowers and Minwon with a box of vitamin drinks. Ji-hyuk greeted the couple politely. I came to stop by and check in. How do you feel? From where she was held by Jiwon, Suman not so subtly signaled Minwon to save her. Minwon ignored her desperate eyes. He put the drinks down on a table near the window. Jaron glanced at Suman, but Ji-hyuk didn't even look at her. Suman felt like she was going to faint from humiliation and embarrassment. She wanted to throw a screaming fit, but that was impossible with Minwon here. I heard you're being discharged soon, Ji-hyuk said. Why don't you stay here longer and let us know how you're doing after that? Of course, the hospital bill and other fees will be covered by you and Kay. We were going to extend her stay anyway, the man said bluntly. He glared at Suman. Ji-hyuk turned to Suman as if he'd just seen her. It's such a relief you decided to apologize properly, Miss Jong, he said. Now, none of us will have to go through this grueling legal process. Apologize properly? Huh! Do you know what that girl just said to us? The man roared. Reflectively, Suman looked at Minwon. However, Minwon's gaze was fixed on Jiwon, like someone who had tied him there. I'm on the ground like this, but he's looking at her right now. The corners of her eyes slightly narrowed. Miss Jong, did you apologize properly? Ji-hyuk asked. Suman hung her head pitifully. I'm sorry, sir. I truly am. She lifted her head as a tear slid down her cheeks. I'm sorry. My mood swings are... You see, I'm in the early stages of my pregnancy. And that's where the chapter ends. Of course she would use that excuse. Well, we know. I hope they recorded her. I hope they recorded her drinking those beers. We as the readers know her ass is not pregnant. Nobody would gulp down 2 beers if they were pregnant and excited about it. Oh, man. So good. Ooh, I can't wait until the next chapter. But let's read some of the comments. Breaking news. Idiot drinks alcohol while claiming to be pregnant. Top comment, yes, idiot. Yes, please tell everyone you're pregnant by Minwon Suman. It won't hurt Jiwon's feelings nearly as much as you think it will. Whoo child, she is too much. But man, I know Jiwon will be shocked and pleased those fools are tied together. And then the last one, this girl doesn't know when to stop, does she? She does not. If there's a hole, Suman's gonna keep digging. She don't give a fuck. Burying herself in the middle of it. But anyways, that's it for chapter 56. And we'll be back with chapter 57, Suman's Shocking Reveal 2. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you soon. Bye. We're back with chapter 57, Suman's Shocking Reveal 2. Time froze in the hospital room. Minwon was so surprised that his mouth silently dropped open. What did the damn woman just say? Pregnant? Fuck! And to say that when Ji-hyuk and Jiwon are both listening? What kind of nonsense is that? The man bellowed. He was incredulous like the others, but relatively less shocked, and clearly still furious. His wife, who had been sitting quietly next to him, hurriedly grabbed his arm. Honey, don't shout like that. She's pregnant. The doctor said I was all right, she said. I feel much better after getting a good night's rest in this private room by myself, too. Even if you hated someone, it was difficult to feel that same loathing when you knew that person was pregnant. The middle-aged woman softened. She had raised children of her own as well. She lifted the sheets and sat up, waving her hand at Jiwon. Please help that young lady. Mother-to-be stand up. She shouldn't stay on the ground like that. Oh, yes, Miss Jong, let's get up. Let's get you up. Jiwon had been frozen in shock, not having imagined this turn of events in the slightest. She helped Suman stand up again. The entire discussion was like bolts of lightning tearing across Minwon's cloudless sky. He prayed that this was all a dream he'd wake up from soon. However, no matter how much he blinked, this hellish situation was his reality. Suman had a tight hold on his neck. I'm sorry. Do you think crying will solve the problem? The man demanded. Honey, his wife scolded. The man fell into an angry silence. I'm okay, and everything's fine now since she's apologized, she said to her husband. Then she addressed Suman. Just be careful in the future, all right? And don't stand there. Come sit on this chair. Upon seeing the angry man's angelic's wife console Suman, Jiwon slowly awakened from her shocked state. Minwon looked like his soul had left his body, his expression plainly read, I'm fucked. Oh, you are. Pregnant? No, that's not possible. Jiwon clasped Suman's wrist, stopping her from sitting in the chair. You don't look so good, Miss Jong. You should go home and get some rest. Hurry and take her outside. There's no need for more apologies, the wife urged them. Minwon's sense of rationale turned to him in a flash. He was suddenly seized by a horrifying gut feeling that Suman was going to tell Jiwon everything. Wait! He hastily shot out his hand and accidentally grabbed Suman. When she stopped and turned to him, the already awkward room became even more tense. That conversation should be, later, he prattled nonsensically. He tossed Suman's hand aside when he belatedly read the room. Miss Kang, you should get back to the office. You can always talk to her tomorrow. I already took a half day off, Mr. Park, Jiwon replied coldly. Then you should head home. I'll take Miss Jong home, he said. Wait, I don't want to send you off alone like this. What's with all the fumbling, Mr. Park? Asked Joran, who was quietly watching the situation. Ji-hyuk's face was as expressionless and hard to read as ever. Minwon realized the more he talked, the deeper he was digging a hole for himself. He became even more frustrated. There was no way out. I'm just taken aback. It was just so unexpected, he said, trying to laugh it off. Didn't have a single clue. Jiwon gazed at Minwon. The color was rapidly draining from his face, and he was starting to sweat. That's an airtight reaction. Don't worry about my half day, Mr. Park. I'll take Miss Jong home, Jiwon said. She turned to his wife. Ma'am, please take care. She quickly said goodbye to the couple. She dragged Suman out into the hallway, tightly gripping her hand. Her destination was the vacant emergency stairwell at the end of the hallway. That hurts, Jiwon. Suman wrinkled her face as she hopped along, shaking off Jiwon's hand. What was that just now? Jiwon snapped. How could you lie to get out of that situation? How are you going to manage the backlash? Suman shook her head pitifully. It wasn't a lie. I really am pregnant. You were going to be the first person I told, but... Jiwon cut Suman off coldly. Who's the father? This was the most important question. If Minwon was the father, it would be a huge problem. It would be even worse if he wasn't. Jiwon, Suman pouted, her eyes pleading with Jiwon. Is it someone you can't say? You never told me about any guy recently. I couldn't tell you, Jiwon. Her reaction left no space for doubt, except it truly was impossible. There was no way any of this could happen. Jiwon tightly clutched both of Suman's arms. It's okay, you can tell me, she said in a low voice. I won't tell anyone. Everyone will find out anyway. Suman opened and closed her mouth like a goldfish. She looked around their empty surroundings as if looking for an answer, her eyes repeatedly darting back and forth between Jiwon and the wall. Jiwon waited patiently for an answer. Don't be too mad, Suman said quietly. She must have finally come to a decision. I'm pregnant with Mr. Park's child. We're getting married soon. Jiwon was at a loss for words. No, actually, there was one thing she wanted to say. That bastard's sterile. I went with him when he was examined. Of course, that was after she'd already been married. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Jiwon. Suman rubbed her hands together as she sobbed. You'll forgive me, right? We're friends. Best friends, right? Jiwon looked down at Suman as a chilling sense of deja vu washed over her face. She needed to clear her thoughts. Her grip on Suman's arm fell slack. I need to leave. Jiwon! Jiwon shook off Suman's reaching hands. I'll call you later. She disappeared out of the emergency staircase. Left alone, Suman was hunched on her feet in the cold. Pitiful cries escaped from between her knees where her face was buried. Jiwon! Her fragile shoulders shook with the sobs and then began to lurch up and down. That pained expression, your shocked eyes, you act like you're all that, but you couldn't even talk. From where she was bent on the ground, Suman laughed to her heart's content. On her way out here, she'd felt like she was heading to the guillotine, but now she felt like she could fly. You know, Jiwon, Suman said affectionately to the emptiness in front of her. I like you best like this, when you cry quietly to yourself after having what's yours stolen from you. Evil. When the kids who wanted to be your friends started throwing things and cursing at you, when Eunho glared at you after receiving your love letter, when your boyfriend who was out of your league suddenly broke up with you. But you're okay since you have me, she said to the empty air. You're not supposed to have something that's better than what I have. You're a real bitch if you act that greedy. I want to fight this bitch. I definitely want to fight her now because we know for sure her ass ain't fucking pregnant. Oh. In a daze, Minwon started the engine of his car. He didn't even know how he'd walk out of the hospital. In front of him, he saw Ji-hyuk's black sedan leave the parking garage. He drove in a circle around the lot and returned to his original parking spot. Then he turned off the engine and slammed his head on the steering wheel. Fuck! 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 How did I get involved with such a degrading bitch? With such a deranged bitch? He completely forgot how he had subtly flirted and came on to said bitch. Jiwon, please answer the phone. Jiwon. Minwon murmured hysterically as he opened his phone. The familiar dial tone felt like the hold music as he descended into hell. Hello? Finally, Jiwon answered. It was the first time she'd answered since they broke up. A tear escaped Minwon's eyes. Jiwon, where are you? We need to talk. Why do you keep asking to talk about? What do you keep asking to talk about? Jiwon's reply was sharper and more forward than normal. It was because she was certain she had successfully handed Minwon over to Sumin. Of course, Minwon didn't know this. Her words made him feel even more anxious. What did you talk to Miss Jong about earlier? Did she say something? Like what? Jiwon asked. A flare of hope spread in his heart. Never mind, I was just curious. No, I asked what you wanted to talk about. Is it how Sumin is pregnant with your child? Or how you decided to marry her? Or were you asking about both? His small tendril of hope came crashing down. He was finished. It was all over. It's a misunderstanding, Jiwon. It's probably not my kid. I'll do a paternity test. Why would I marry someone like her? Stupefied, Minwon babbled whatever came to his mind. Jiwon, you're the only woman in my life. Everything is meaningless without you. I would rather spend the rest of my life alone than to be with anyone else. Jiwon, please. Mr. Park, Jiwon began in a formal tone. I don't know why you're telling me so many excuses. What happened between the two of you has nothing to do with me. It's none of my business whether you take a paternity test or not. I really could not care less. Minwon gripped his phone tightly. The fact that she could care less was more shocking than anything. If she was angry and cursed him or hit him with a baseball bat, that he would have understood. Jiwon Kang, this was the same Jiwon who couldn't live without him, the same foolish Jiwon who would believe him even if he said pigs could fly, the same Jiwon who would be in more pain than him when he was sick. Don't lie, Jiwon. You're sad right now, he said. Your heart is ripping apart, isn't it? You don't have to pretend to be unaffected. Talk to me, Mr. Park, let me explain to you exactly how much I care. Jiwon paused to choose her words. I'll put all of my cash gifts in Sumin's name at your wedding. You'll receive a lot since you've been working for a long time. If you want, I can also sing a congratulatory song and catch the bouquet. She continued, Oh, and why not? I'll even take days off to help Sumin recover after she gives birth to your child. It would be nothing, really. I am completely unaffected, and I have to rest now after taking a half day off. I'm hanging up. Oh, smooth. I love it. Jiwon said goodbye to him in a light tone and hung up. It was futile when he pressed the call button again. He slammed his head on the steering wheel once more. Thud, thud, thud. He was banging his head against it like a madman when his phone buzzed. Hello, Jiwon? He answered hastily without looking at the caller. The voice that came through wasn't Jiwon's. It was that deranged bitch. Oppa, why are you looking for Jiwon again? Fuck you, you unhinged bitch. He roared the curses he'd previously kept contained. Then the voice changed to his mother's. Minwon, have you lost your mind? What are you saying to someone who's carrying your son? Why are you answering the phone? Has she scurried to your house already? She came here crying. It's a relief your father wasn't here, Jaeok said. Why are you treating her this way? She's getting married to you because she loves you so much. Mom, she's not a nice girl. She's a manipulative snake. Get her out of there now. Enough, Minwon. Starting today, she's living with us. He was speechless for a moment. What? What if something happens to her while she's living alone? When you get off work, come home and eat dinner with her. Oh, and we're going to be looking at wedding venues this weekend. Mom, no, I'm marrying Jiwon. How many times do I have to tell you that for you to understand? Don't even bring up that rude wench, Jaeok shouted. Oh, Sumin, don't cry. I'll scold him for you. Minwon hung up as he heard his mother soothe Sumin. She was probably crying like she was so good at doing. Neon lights sparkled on his phone screen. Matching phones, Minwon murmured as he stroked the blue surface. Jiwon had always wanted to have matching shirts or matching shoes. Naturally, Minwon detested the idea. It wasn't that he disliked matching items. He was just embarrassed to do that with Jiwon. To appease her, they had gotten these phones instead. It had been time for him to get a new one anyway. This model was a popular one that nearly 10 people in their office used. It was something that no one would be able to tell was a couple's item. You're that happy? Minwon had asked mockingly when they bought the phones together. Jiwon had given a simple reply. Of course I am. It's our first couple item, she'd said. You know, it's my first time doing something like this. I'm sure it is, he thought. Obviously, a woman like you hasn't properly dated a man. Minwon had inwardly snickered at her before, carelessly tossing his phone on the dashboard. At least that was how he acted in the past. Damn it. Tears dripped down onto his phone. He buried his nose in the worn phone that he'd used so carelessly, crying like a little child. Jiwon, I was wrong. Jiwon, what am I going to do? Jiwon. And that's the end of the chapter. This chapter, ooh, was delicious, okay? I was full. I am full. Jiwon, savage. She was like an assassin, and I loved it. Especially when she named off all that shit to Minwon. I loved it. And then Sumin, we knew her ass was crazy. But her laughing like that after seeing that she thought she got one over on Jiwon is disgusting. But then it's funny when she really didn't do shit. Jiwon don't give a fuck. And I can't wait until she realizes that. But her life will be way worse than it already is. But that raggedy hoe. Ji-hyuk and Joran didn't say anything. But I'm pretty sure Ji-hyuk already knows. Because he don't like neither one of them. Eunho already knows. But Eunho already knows because he's known Sumin forever and he knows how vindictive and evil she is. But let's read some comments. He's crying because he can't control her anymore. He sure is a little child. He is. And that's the only reason why he's crying. Does he not know he is sterile then? No, I don't think he does. I hope he doesn't find out until after the wedding. I wonder if Sumin is faking or if it is someone else's baby. That's true. We didn't get that confirmed. We don't really know what that hoe be doing. I mean, she do be on some hoe shit. This was so good. The grass isn't always greener on the other side. Now it's time for you to be miserable, Mr. Park. What a refreshing twist. Instead of him marrying Jiwon and longing for Sumin, it's the other way around. Minwon only wants what he can't control. Yup, that part. And then this will be the last one. And ironically, because we all know that fate repeats itself in the past, this love is how Minwon originally felt about Sumin while he was marrying Jiwon. Classic. Yes. Yeah. Oh, man. Woo. Good. Well, I hope you enjoyed the chapter as much as I did. If you want to leave a comment, let's see. Use a knife because Jiwon cut these bitches up today. But yeah, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you in chapter 58, which is called Wedding March 1. Have a good one. Hey, we're back with chapter 58, Wedding March. 1. Jiwon came straight away and took off the elegant dress she'd chosen with much deliberation this morning. After hanging it up, she changed into a set of comfortable sweatpants. It was much easier to clear her thoughts when she was lying down on the couch in something less constricting. Strange. In her past life, Jiwon didn't get pregnant. She had thought that she was probably going to it would be the same for Sumin. If that were true, where did this random pregnancy come from? Her phone buzzed for a while. Jiwon gazed at Ji-hyuk's name on the screen and answered it. Yes, Mr. Yu? Where are you? I just came home. A sigh came from beyond the line. It was one of relief, not of frustration. Are you feeling all right? About what? Ji-hyuk stayed silent for a moment, taking in Ji-won's impassive attitude. After waiting for a response, Ji-won spoke again. Mr. Yu, what are you talking about? It's nothing. Then Ji-hyuk changed the subject. What about food? You didn't get lunch before leaving, did you? I'm going to have jjajangmyeon in celebration of taking a half day, she said. Oh, do you know a good Chinese restaurant around here? She wasn't really expecting an answer, although Ji-hyuk had been living in this neighborhood for longer. He didn't seem like someone who'd order jjajangmyeon for delivery. Seok Chinese restaurant, Ji-hyuk said without hesitation. They have good jjajangmyeon and sweet and sour pork. Jiwon was surprised. Mr. Yu really orders in jjajangmyeon with sweet and sour pork too? I'll text you the number. Enjoy your lunch. Oh, yes, you too. Has it already been a minute since we hung up? A simple text with the restaurant's number arrived. Jiwon contemplated what to get for a long time as she stared at it. I want jjajangmyeon and sweet and sour pork and jjampong soup. The decision she came after a deep pondering was bold. I'll just order everything. Suddenly she felt excited. In the past, she never would have dreamed of ordering food that she wouldn't be able to finish. It was a luxury. No matter how hard she worked or how much overtime she volunteered for, she never had enough money for living expenses. When she wanted to eat jjajangmyeon, she had to cook instant jjajang from a packet at home instead. Would Sumin be able to endure such a life? Jiwon had to admit she was a little curious. I'm going to eat it all, she decided. I'm going to order chicken and throw it away after only licking off the seasoning. After solemnly declaring her intent to live an extravagant life, she immediately called the restaurant. Hello, this is Sungsojak Chinese restaurant. Hi, I live at OO Apartments, Building 105, Suite 1305. I'd like a meal set with fried rice, jjajangmyeon, and sweet and sour pork with a small bottle of cola. It comes with jjampong soup, right? Of course. It'll take about 40 minutes and your total will be 12,000 won. What a perfect combination, Jiwon thought as she sat up. She pulled out a notebook. 40 minutes was more than enough time to think. There were a few theories that might explain this impossible situation. Jiwon quickly scrawled on her notebook and organized her hypothesis. Theory 1. Sumin was pregnant with the child of another man. The most likely candidate was manager Kim. Section Chief Kim now. Theory 2. Sumin had somehow overcome all odds and was having Minwon's child. I don't think that one's going to be an option at all. Jiwon thought for a little bit, then scratched out both options. Sumin had appeared at the pub earlier to meet Eunho. Her hair had been recently curled. Although Sumin was thoughtless and selfish, she wasn't a fool. She would never forego the easiest, most certain way to have Minwon to herself. That meant there was only one answer. Sumin had lied to get Minwon in her clutches. Sumin shook her head. Wow, the scale of her lies is incredible. However, part of her was slightly grateful that Sumin was being so proactive. Still, all this thinking about food was making her faint. The thought of cooking instant jjajang wanting it for after 3 days became tempting. Finally, the doorbell rang. Jiwon quickly pressed the button that allowed visitors inside the building and stood up. Waiting at her door, soon she heard the elevator ding on her floor. It was here. Reverently, she pulled out some money and opened the door. The delivery person dashed past her and pressed the bell next door. Ding dong. Who is it? I'm here to deliver your food. Food? Jiwon watched on. A bulky man appeared from the apartment next to hers. It was the person who fed the cat that Ji-hyuk had mentioned before. Fried rice, jjangjeongbyeong, and sweet and sour pork, right? I see you're not having extra noodles today. The man scratched the back of his head at the delivery person's words. I didn't order anything today. I did want it, though. Then that's mine. Jiwon put on some slippers and quickly walked out. Sir, I think that's mine. Apartment 1305, right? 1305? The delivery person quickly confirmed the recipe and apologized sheepishly. It is 1305. I'm sorry. It's become a habit because I stopped by this apartment so much. It's fine. Please bring it in. Jiwon opened the door wide to welcome the jjangjeongbyeong. She held out the money she had prepared in advance to give to the delivery person. The man who fed the cat looked at her with slightly envious eyes and stepped out completely to greet her. I hope you've been doing well, he said. Oh, yes. It was awkward for both of them. Jiwon was about to bow in greeting when she jumped in surprise. Something unfamiliar and soft was at her feet. Meow. Pang! Why did you come out? The man was more taken aback than she was. Pang? The cat's name is Pang? Jiwon hunched over and carefully held out her hand. Pang satisfactorily raised his tail and bumped its tiny head in Jiwon's hand. Meow. Oh my gosh. Jiwon's heart, which was frozen more solidly than an iceberg in the Arctic, began to melt. You're so cute. Pang's head started rubbing more intensely against Jiwon's hand. Her heart beat as fast as it did when her stalk soared. Jiwon's eyes practically formed hearts as she stroked Pang. How pretty are you? You must really like people, Huh? Pang isn't affectionate with people usually, at all. The cat-feeding man stretched his hand towards Pang. Meow. Meow. Pang hissed and snapped a paw at the man's hand. Then the cat flopped down on its back in front of Jiwon. Meow. Oh my goodness. Jiwon massaged the warm and soft cat's stomach to her heart's content. But it's so friendly. It's really not. You're so cute. Were you born just this cute, Pang? Your front paws are so cute, and your back paws are cute too. Her tongue naturally folded in half as she spoke to him. It was the first time she saw this cat, but it was so adorable. She felt like she had known this cat for a long time. Her ribs were about to break from how cute the cat was. Your noodles might get soggy, the man said carefully. Jiwon looked up from where her soul was in Pang's paw. The delivery person was long gone and her food was waiting for her in her apartment. Right. I'm sorry. Pang was just too cute. Jiwon stroked Pang's head for the last time and stood up. Meow. Pang quickly got up and rubbed its body against Jiwon's legs. It seemed to be begging for her to not go. Oh no, Pang, I can't. Jiwon couldn't bring herself to move and she frowned. She wanted to carry Pang and run away into her house. I'll see you next time and give you lots of pets, okay? Meow, meow. Pang frantically spun around Jiwon's feet as it rubbed its head against her. In the end, Jiwon abandoned her jjangjeongbyeong and hunched back down again to pet the cat. As if that was what it had been waiting for, Pang hopped onto Jiwon's knees. Meow. What's with this cat today? Pang's usually really apathetic and doesn't even care when its owner leaves or comes home. The man shifted awkwardly. Would you like to have Pang for a while? You can bring the cat back in the evening. Jiwon's ears prickled up. Really? Can I do that? The man shrugged. Yes. It ate some time ago, so you just need to give it some water. Jiwon sparkled, unable to refuse out of politeness. Thank you. I'll keep Pang safe and drop it off later. Let's go, Pang. Jiwon clutched Pang in her arms. They both came back into her apartment after saying goodbye. The noodles were limp. The soup was room temperature, and the sweet and sour pork was soggy. However, eating with the TV on while she stroked Pang with one hand was pure happiness, so none of that mattered. There was a pretty cat like you around here once, Jiwon whispered as she laid next to Pang, without even tidying up the plates, but it disappeared. Someone must have taken it in because it was so small and pretty. I'm sure that cat is living well like you, right? Pang meowed adorably as if it were replying. Jiwon fell asleep before she knew it while snuggling with Pang. How much time had passed? Ding dong. Jiwon jolted awake at the sound of the doorbell. Pang slapped its tail down on the ground from where it had been purring in its sleep next to Jiwon. I'm sorry, did I scare you? She had slept too soundly. The unfinished dishes were still on the table, and she could see the red glow of the sun setting beyond the window. Ding dong, the bell rang again. The delivery man must be here for the plates. Just a minute, Pang. She fumbled with the door when she saw Ji-hyuk's face on the intercom screen. She gasped. That's right, your dad is Mr. Yil. Meow. Pang replied. Jiwon swallowed hard and walked out. Ji-hyuk gave a slight nod through the half-open crack. I'm here for Pang. Ji-hyuk's facial expression and tone made it seem like he was here to capture a fugitive. I'm sorry, Jiwon said. I was only going to have the cat over for a while, but Pang was so cute, and I fell asleep. You mean Pang napped with you? Ji-hyuk furrowed his brows and examined Pang. Just as the cat feeder said, Pang didn't seem to care about its owner. Pang stayed attached to Jiwon's feet without even looking at Ji-hyuk. Yes. Jiwon lifted Pang and tightly hugged the cat. Pang's so sweet, affectionate, and adorable. Pang didn't even wriggle around. Meow. You really have to go home now. Let's meet again, okay? Meow. Pang cried pitifully. However, Jiwon had no choice but to send the cat away since its owner was here. Jiwon kissed Pang's forehead and held it out to Ji-hyuk. Pang's probably hungry. I didn't have any treats or anything in my house. Ji-hyuk took Pang with one hand. I'll feed it. Ji-hyuk had a cat. It was an unlikely pair, and it was an even stranger pair in person. Bye, Pang. I'll see you again. Meow. Jiwon couldn't take her eyes off Pang. She didn't know why her heart went out to this little cat. You can come over anytime you want to see Pang. You can even bring Pang to sleep over at your house. Jiwon's heart beat faster. Pang can sleep over with me? Yes, since Pang likes you so much. She couldn't bring herself to politely refuse again. Jiwon turned red and nodded shamelessly. She already felt happy at the thought of sleeping with Pang in her bed. Oh, he's so cute. It's so funny. He can't stand anybody, but he loves Jiwon. We all love Jiwon. It's not bad. I agree, Mother. Sumin beamed with her arm linked through Jae-uk's. They were at a dreamy venue where a giant crystal chandelier reflected light into a clear path. It made it seem like they were walking on water. Minwon's face turned even more ashen. He had been following them around like a zombie all day. So you're going to sign the papers for this place? He asked. Sumin shook her head. There aren't too many venues that work for us because it's so rushed, Oppa. That wasn't Minwon's question. Do you really have to have a wedding ceremony? He asked. Can't you just live quietly and not bring attention to yourself? Jae-uk narrowed her eyes. What's wrong with you these days? She asked. You're our only son. Do you know how much your father and I always give and gift money for other weddings? We could celebrate and even throw a first birthday party for your child with the gift money you'll receive. How could you want to skip the ceremony? I'm saying we should postpone it, not skip it entirely, he said. People at work will talk. It's worse to have a baby without a ceremony, his mother said. Sign the marriage contract immediately. Then both of you can live together in Minwon's room until you get your newlywed home. That's okay, right, Sumin? Our little general says it's okay. Sumin stroked at her flat stomach, making Jae-uk smile widely. Minwon felt numb as he watched. When he pictured standing next to Suman at this venue with their colleagues whispering behind him, he felt like he was going to vomit. Minwon clenched his fists. Never. Okay, let's do that, he said. Really, Oppa? Yes. Good thinking, Minwon, Jaeok said. You're both so fortunate to get a venue like this after someone's canceled. Suman and our little general are just bundles of luck. We'll do it on one condition, Minwon spoke firmly to the two excited women. No one from work will be invited. I'm only going to invite my relatives and parents' friends and my close friends. I let you have everything else, Suman. The least you can do is listen to me about this. She not gonna listen to you because she wants Jiwon to be there, and Jiwon works with y'all. We know you don't want Jiwon there, but she does, so she can try and rub it in her face and act like she's so cocky. But this chapter is really cute, except for the last part where we had to hear about Minwon and Suman, but it's fine. That is the end of chapter 58. Let's see what some of the comments are. Suman wants everyone invited, waiting to see how she pulls that off. I see her marriage being highly volatile. She might be the one at risk of getting killed instead of Jiwon. Well, Suman's going to invite everybody just to get back at Jiwon. I keep having to look up the food. I've been craving iced Americanos because of this novel. I don't even like coffee. I know. I want to look up what that food looks like now that they say that. Chinese takeout restaurants come back to get the dishes after you eat in Korea. Interesting. Nice to learn a bit about the culture in snips like this. Also, Minwon, you could just attend the ceremony wearing a mask. Not wearing a mask. All right, so that's the end of chapter 58. Chapter 59 is Wedding March 2. All right, talk to you then. Bye. And we're back with chapter 59. Wedding March 2. No matter how much Minwon thought about it, this was the best solution. It wasn't an option not to get married or to not hold the ceremony. The only thing he could do was not tell people at work about any of it. Why wouldn't you tell people at work? Jaeok rebuked her son. Suman bit her lip and looked at him. I had a public relationship with Jiwon, he said. Everyone thinks I'm marrying her, so how can I say I'm getting married to Suman? Aren't you ever going to tell them? What's so great about that wench anyway? Jaeok asked, raising her voice. What about your son's first birthday party? The employee who was guiding them through the venue nervously looked back at the three, sensing the sudden tense atmosphere. I'm not inviting them to that either. I'm not budging on this, Minwon said. Do you want this to completely destroy my work life? Your work life will be destroyed just because of that one wench? Nonsense. There's this thing called a reputation, Mom. It's important for promotions too. Do you want me to be a section chief until I die without ever being promoted to manager? Jaeok flinched at the words promotion and section chief. Minwon continued his onslaught. I'm only inviting my close friends. I just won't be inviting my colleagues, so I'll do what you want for the ceremony and for the first birthday party, he said. And it's not because of a single wench. Other people will talk too. It was rare for Minwon to argue with Jaeok to this extent, but since his promotion was dependent on the situation too, Jaeok clicked her tongue and turned back to Suman. Child, this is probably for the best. Suman smiled angelically. It doesn't matter to me. Who cared if people from work came or not? All that mattered was Jiwon's presence. Yeah, we all know. That's all you care about. You probably don't even, well, she don't give a fuck about Minwon either. She's obsessed with Jiwon. I'd be happy to just have a simple traditional wedding where Oppa and I bow to each other. We can just have you and my father-in-law present, Suman said. Oppa is our little general's dad, so I'm fine with whatever he wants. Don't worry about me. Goodness, it's because you're so nice that the heavens gave you a bundle of luck, Jaeok said. Minwan, be good to Sumin and our little general. You won't find someone like this woman ever again. Mother, that's too much. Sumin covered her mouth with a smile shyly. Minwan turned around so he didn't have to see it. What sin did he commit for things to become so twisted? He felt beyond wrong. You feel wronged, sir? Okay. It's kind of what you deserve. At exactly 6 p.m., Ji-hyuk pushed back his chair and stood up from his neat, spotless desk. Let's finish up for the day, he said. Good work, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm heading out first. Mr. Park, the weather's nice. Why don't we have a bottle of soju? The office became noisy with the chatter that the employees kept contained during work hours. Ji-won quietly approached Ji-hyuk during the commotion. Can I ask you something, Mr. Yu? I'm a little busy right now, Ji-hyuk said, pulling back his sleeve to check his wristwatch. Then can I ask you over the phone? Let's talk about it on the way home. Come to Section E on the second floor of the underground parking lot. Before Ji-won could protest, Ji-hyuk strolled off with his briefcase. She sighed, but there was nothing else she could do. She might as well ride home with Ji-hyuk since they were headed to the same place anyway. She could see Pang, too. With that thought, her mood rapidly lifted. Ji-won returned to her desk with a held-back smile. Jaron glanced at her and walked over, linking their arms together. Ji-won, you have something good going on tonight? Nope, nothing like that. The corner of Ji-won's mouth twitched, itching to form a smile. It was like her mouth was broadcasting that things were going well for Ji-won. Lately, Ji-won always had this expression. Sometimes she was looking at her phone with a silly smile. Ji-won. Jaron's voice became secretive. Are you dating someone? What? Ji-won was shocked by the absurd question. Jaron shrugged. You just seemed like it. Why are you so surprised? Because it's so ridiculous. I'm not going to date anymore. Says the lady who's only 27 years old. Jaron giggled and playfully slapped Ji-won's arm. Ji-won sighed. Though I suppose there are women whose lives are ruined by meeting the wrong men, Jaron said, tapping her chin thoughtfully. But there aren't any women whose lives are ruined because they don't have a man at all. You might be the smart one. What a wise saying. I'd much rather live alone with a cat, Ji-won responded as she pictured a future with Pang. I think there's a lot of women who right now are very happy with their fur babies. And that's it. When she groped across the bed in her sleep, she would feel soft fur. When she came home from work, Pang would come running and rub against her. When she gave Pang treats, Pang would meow and happily eat it. Ji-won chuckled without meaning to. Jaron looked at her suspiciously, then laughed along. I'm envious of you, Jaron said. Why? You're going to be promoted to manager soon. Because you can make your own decisions. Jaron's tone seemed a little bittersweet, as did her smile. Ji-won just listened quietly, unsure of how to respond. They approached the elevator and got inside. It's good to be alone, Jaron said after a moment. You can draw whatever you want on a blank white paper. My drawing is already finished, so all I can do is fill in the empty spots of the paper. A drawing? Ji-won murmured. The elevator dinged. Jaron tilted her head when Ji-won didn't get off at the lobby. You're not getting off here, Miss Kang? Oh, Ji-won said after some hesitation. I just realized I left something at the office. I'll have to go get it and come back down. I'll see you tomorrow then. Have a good evening. Jaron waved and stepped out of the elevator as she watched Jaron go. Ji-won realized that she was thinner than before. We should go to a cafe tomorrow for lunch. Ji-won blamed herself. She'd been so inattentive toward Jaron the past few days because of her personal issues. As she walked to meet Ji-hyuk, she vowed to do better. Section E was in the furthest location of the underground parking lot. Luckily, there was almost no people walking by. Even so, Jiwon quickly approached the black sedan like she was filming a spy movie. She opened the passenger seat door. Mr. Yu, hop in. There's somewhere I need to go. I thought you were going home. Jiwon buckled her belt and cut directly to the chase. Can I have Peng today for... Peng's at the hospital. I'm on my way there right now. What? Her heart thudded. Jiwon widened her eyes. Why is Peng at the hospital? Is Peng sick? I gave Peng some snacks the day before. Is it because of that? Calm down. Peng's getting a checkup, he said. I'm going to the hospital to pick the cat up. Oh, a checkup. She felt embarrassed about being so surprised and cleared her throat. Ji-hyuk spoke again. Peng's getting older now. The doctor said it's best to have a regular examination. But Peng seems like a baby. Peng's 7, not old, but not young either. Peng needs checkups once a year now. Not only was Jiwon a little surprised that Ji-hyuk had a cat, but that he was treating it like a precious baby. How long have you had Peng? Since it stopped drinking milk. I was only going to look after it for a while, but I ended up keeping it because I had no one else to leave it with. Or because Peng's so cute. Jiwon's fingers twitched like Peng was already on her knees. Her heart beat faster at the thought of feeding Peng treats since getting the checkup must have been tiring. 0227, Ji-hyuk suddenly said. Pardon? 0227. Ji-hyuk slowly emphasized. After hesitating, he spoke tentatively. You can use that passcode to enter the apartment when I'm not there. Peng would like that. Jiwon said the number quietly to herself. Was it for February 27th? Was it a birthday? Jiwon was curious but didn't ask. I won't be over all the time, she said, but please call me whenever you need someone to take care of Peng. While Jiwon looked out the window, a slight smile flashed across Ji-hyuk's face. He kept smiling as he looked straight ahead with his hands on the steering wheel. Aww. Aww. He's happy somebody can help him take care of his baby. And his baby likes her. Cute. Sumin yawned as she opened her eyes in the early afternoon. Having fallen asleep late last night because she was playing a baking game on her phone. Oh, I slept so well. It's so nice not to go to work. Sumin got up with a grin and rubbed her flat stomach. You're up, Sumin? Just then, she heard Jaeok's voice from outside. Yes, Mother, Sumin replied weakly, brushing back her hair. She could probably idle around a little more, but she was hungry. I got up too late, didn't I? I'm just so sleepy. Mother, I'm sorry. Jaeok smiled generously when Sumin walked out and bowed in apology. It's only natural you're sleepy when you're pregnant, Jaeok said. Have some lunch and rest while you do this. Jaeok held out a piece of cloth and a needle. Sumin furrowed her brow, confused. What's this? Prenatal education, of course. You'll have to move your fingers delicately if you want to have a talented child. Since you're so feminine, you're probably good at this kind of thing, right? Jaeok said, laughing heartily. She wants me to make this useless thing myself? Sumin felt a flash of annoyance. She had planned on going to her room and baking more bread after lunch. Sumin, however, beamed and put on the charm instead. Of course! Thank you for thinking of this, Mother. Of course, I'm a grandmother now, she said. Now, let's have lunch. You're hungry, aren't you? Yes, the little general wants beef today. Jaeok dashed to the butcher as soon as Sumin said beef. She brought home a cut of the most expensive Korean beef ribeye. Sumin sat at the table without lifting a finger and ate the meat Jaeok fed her. It's melting in my mouth, Mother. It's so good. They say if you want meat, it's a son. Our little general must be really healthy based on your appetite. This dumbass woman. Jaeok cooked Sumin more meat. She told her to have more and more, forgetting to eat any herself. The bean paste stew is ready. Stay seated, child. Jaeok stood up and carried a heavy pot to the table. A savory scent wafted up from the bubbling brisket bean paste stew. Suman stared blankly at the pot. She was always hungry. When she was young, she was hungry because her mom never made food for her. At school, she was the pretty girl who shouldn't eat too much, so she didn't eat a proper lunch. Her short stature, which was part of her inferiority complex, was probably because of that. She would starve all day and go home with a growling stomach, but there was nothing to eat in the house. At most, there was a tub of old, rotten smelling fermented red chili paste, dried anchovies, and hardened yellow rice. Ugh. I feel sorry for younger Suman, not current Suman. On the contrary, Jiwon always ate well. She took a full tray of food at lunch and would eat more than when she went home. Moreover, she was loved. Suman still remembered the shock she'd felt when she first met Jiwon's dad. "Is my princess here? You're hungry, aren't you?" "My, who's that? My princess's friend?" "Yeah, she's my best friend," Jiwon said. "I'm hungry." The moment she'd entered their home, the tangy scent of bean paste stew had entered her nose. Jiwon's dad had greeted Jiwon and Suman with an apron and ladle. "You're pretty like my daughter, but why are you so thin? Come over here. I'll make yummy things for you." That had been the first time she'd had home-cooked bean paste stew. It was delicious. She hated Jiwon for treating it like it was an everyday occurrence and complaining about not having rolled omelets. She thought it was only fair for Jiwon to eat old rice with spoiled chili paste like she did. A tear dried down her cheek upon the white rice. Jaeok looked at Suman, surprised. "Child, are you crying? What's wrong? Is the food bad? Are you feeling unwell?" "No, it's so good," Suman sniffed and looked at the spoonful of bean paste stew. The stew that Jaeok had put all of her effort into making was as delicious as Jiwon's dad's stew. "It's my first time having bean paste stew that's this tasty. I'll do my best to learn from you and cook it for Oppa." "You cry a lot when you're pregnant," Jaeok said. "I'll teach you well. Just take good care of Minwon." "Yes, mother." Suman wiped her tears and ate the ribeye that Jaeok cooked for her. She was truly happy. It was a happiness she never wanted to lose. "Have some more. People with sons shouldn't be so thin. Here, have some lettuce too." Thanks to Jaeok's endless suggestions to eat more, she didn't have to eat like a bird today. After filling her stomach with the meat she liked so much, she put her chopsticks down and smiled. "I'm really full now. Thank you, Mother." You should have some. You should have some more. It's all going in my grandson's stomach." Gio ruefully finished the remaining meat and brought a box from the veranda. "Drink some of this since you're done eating." "It's a herbal medicine," Suman asked. There was the name of a medicinal clinic on the box. Suman tilted her head as Jaeok snipped off the top of the plastic pouch. It was the size of her hand. "It's carp extract. Apparently, it's great for pregnant women." Carp extract? It was a horrifying name. Suman forgot the gratitude she felt from eating the bean paste stew and tentatively accepted the pouch. She hadn't even tasted it yet, but a sickening fishy smell came wafting up. Ugh. Suman whipped her head around and heaved, but Jaeok didn't pay that any mind. "This is great for sons. Hold your nose and drink up," she said. "Do you know how hard it is to get carp extract from this place?" And that's the end of chapter 59. So we got a little insight on Suman. We got the cute sing. We got the cuteness with Jiwon and Jihyuk. And then this part of Suman, I didn't mind this part because we got to understand how Suman kind of operates the way that she does. She's basically been jealous of Jiwon her whole life. Because her mom treated her like shit. She thought that Jiwon, because she was also from a single parent home, that Jiwon also got treated like shit, but she didn't. her dad treated her with love, unlike Suman's mom, who seems like she's very emotionally abusive and not very physically. But it seems like she did a number on her daughter, unfortunately. And Suman didn't try to take the time nor effort to try to change any of that when she became an adult and could get away from her. She just seems to continue on whatever revenge or issues that she has towards Jiwon when Jiwon hasn't done anything to her. She hasn't used her jealousy or other feelings she had towards her for her own betterment. And, now she's a piece of shit. But let's see what some of the comments are. The beginning of the chapter needed some editing. Joran is talking to Jiwon, but calls her Suman. Yes, I stopped and recorded it, recorded the chapter because I kept saying Suman because that's what's written. But it's Joran and Jiwon that are having the conversation when Joran asks her if she's dating because Jiwon's more happy now that she's single. Somebody else talking about the translation, but okay. To be honest, I can't wait for Suman to have a quotations miscarriage and then find out later that he's sterile. Then their marriage completely blows up because it becomes obvious she was lying about ever being pregnant in the first place. But I also doubt Minwon would ever touch her ever again with how much he detests her. I mean, it might not be his, she might be pregnant and it's not his kid. You never know because the story's not the same with each media that it's gone to. So we don't know. She might actually be pregnant. Let's see. Suman should invite Jiwon to the wedding and Jiwon should show up with Ji-hyuk as her date. I hope everybody at work finds out. And Minwon work life is over. That's what I want to happen. The sin you committed was murdering your wife in a different dimension. Enjoy. Somebody said, imagine she gave birth to a girl. J-Oak, I think she would flip the fuck out. I really think she would flip the fuck out because she hasn't mentioned anything about having a girl. And I've read and watched videos from other people that have grown up in like Eastern society or maybe it might be Asian households, but I don't want to put that as a stereotype towards a whole race. But Eastern lifestyles where they don't care about the daughter. It's all about the son. And the daughter can be brilliant, beautiful, and all of these things. And they don't care about any of that, which is sad. But I think that's like an old traditional way of thinking. And I don't think it's that common now, but that's how it used to be like back in the day. But yeah. So that's the end of chapter 59. Chapter 60 is going to be wedding invitation. I thought that these two chapters, they were like getting married because they were saying wedding march, but it's probably like the steps of getting prepared, not the actual wedding. I was thinking of like the musical number when the bride comes out. But anywho, thanks so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to leave an emoji, leave a fish for Suman with her carp extract. And I'll see ya in chapter 60. Bye. Hey, we're back with chapter 60, wedding invitation. Suman held the carp extract as far away from her as she could politely could. Mother, I can't drink it. What do you mean you can't? You need to eat well during the early stages of your pregnancy for your baby to grow well and be born naturally, Jayoke said. It's only a few sips, so hurry and drink up. There's no baby to grow, Suman gritted her teeth and forced the words back down her throat. So we know she's lying straight up. She's not even pregnant by somebody else. Thank you. I'll drink it. Good, good. Go on. She couldn't even throw it away because Jayoke was watching. Eventually, Suman blocked her nose and poured the extract inside her mouth. Next to her, Jayoke squeezed the pouch and fed her every last drop. Urgh. The moment she let go of her nose, she felt like she was going to vomit. The delicious ribeye she'd had earlier was coming up. You need to drink it again if you throw up, Jayoke advised. Hold it in, even if it's a little fishy. You're a mother now. You have to do this for your son. Suman teared up. This time, they weren't fake or emotional tears. They were real. She was crying because the extract was fishy and disgusting. Have some water, too. Good. Jayoke smiled widely as she gave Suman a glass of warm water. Have 2 pouches every day in the morning and at dinner. Don't skip any days. This? I have to have 2 pouches of this every day. 1 pouch was torture enough, but she was expected to drink 2 pouches. Suman looked at Jayoke like she had been sentenced to death. This is nothing if you want to have a healthy son. When I had Minwan, I didn't even have carp extract. I couldn't drink it because no one gave me any. So you didn't drink it? Suman opened her mouth to protest, but the bell rang suddenly. Who could that be? Jayoke wiped her hands on her apron and walked to the front door. Meanwhile, Suman bent over on the floor and gagged to her heart's content. She couldn't really throw up, so it only made her feel even worse. Suman wobbled after Jayoke to the front door. A delivery person was carrying a heavy box inside. Your wedding invitations are already here? Child, come here and fold some. Jayoke called. We need to give them to all of our relatives. Suman blinked. Invitations? But I didn't make them yet. I took care of it all. Neither you nor Minwan has time to worry about these. I chose your dress and your hanbok too. So all you have to do is wear them. The dress and hanbok? I haven't seen any though, Suman said. Aren't you listening? I'm saying I chose it all. All pregnant women should have to do is stay home for prenatal education and drink carp extract. Jayoke smiled. You're so lucky. You won't find another mother-in-law like me. Suman pouted. What about the wedding pictures? Oh my, you can't be serious. How can you take those when you're pregnant? Pictures are just expensive anyway. And no one looks at them, Jayoke said, waving a hand. It's all just business nonsense to get you to spend extra money. Take a family picture with your baby when it's born instead. But Mother, you should have at least let me go to the dress shop, Suman whined. Jayoke narrowed her eyes when Suman unwittingly raised her voice. Minwan still hates that we're holding a ceremony at all. I'm sure he'd love to go to a dress shop with you, Jayoke said. But how can you ask someone who's working every day to visit so many places during their weekend off? Just don't get married then. Jayoke was firm, and it was hard to believe she was the same person who'd cooked Suman the ribeye earlier. Suman just wet her lips, unable to say anything. If the ceremony was canceled, then she'd really have to get married without even getting to wear a wedding dress. She gulped. Never mind, Mother. Suman swallowed her pride and opened the box. It was full of colorful invitations with the groom and bride on the front wearing traditional wedding clothes. What do you think? Pretty, aren't they? Jayoke said with a pleased smile. They were tacky. Suman had wanted simple and pretty invitations with the gold font. Yes, you have the best eye, Mother, Suman said heartlessly. She pulled out her phone. There was someone who she needed to tell that her wedding invitations were out. Jiwon, are you busy? About 5 minutes passed after she sent the message with the response ding. Just doing things. Why? I have something to give you. Do you want to meet after you get off work today? She wanted to record Jiwon's face when she received the invitation. Sure, I'll call you after. It was done. A wide smile drew across Suman's face. Jiwon! A conversation window popped up on Jiwon's computer screen with a message from Minwon. She frowned and moved to close it when another message appeared. Wait, it's important. She heard Minwon typing frantically next to her. What kind of bullcrap was he going to say this time? Jiwon glanced around and looked at the screen, her arms crossed. Don't say anything about Sumin and me at work. Keep it a secret that we're getting married too, please. Jiwon just stared at her monitor without replying. Minwon typed even faster. I won't bother you again. I just wanted to ask about this. It's not good for you either if there are rumors about your fiancé getting married to your friend, is it? Only then did Jiwon type a response. Her fingers relaxed on the keyboard. Not fiancé. Ex-fiancé. It doesn't matter to me if there are rumors, but I don't plan to prattle on about it, so don't worry. Bye. Minwon was about to say something else. She could hear his fingers on the keys when Jae-hyuk entered the office. Everyone's attention turned to him. Excuse me, everyone. I have an announcement. Jung-suk appeared next to Ji-hyuk, carrying a large box. All the employees stopped what they were doing and looked in their direction. This is senior staff member Jong-suk Lee. He will be working with our department starting today. Nice to meet you, Jong-suk said, greeting everyone by bowing. I'm Jong-suk Lee. I've been with the development department my entire time here, so I might fumble a bit with marketing at first. Please be patient with me and teach me everything you can. A satisfactory applause echoed throughout the office. Ji-hyuk scanned the room and his gaze stopped at Jiwon. I'm sorry, he said, but Miss Kang? Yes? Ji-hyuk lifted his finger and pointed next to Hugh-yeon. It was the desk where Sumin used to sit, but it was vacant now. Would you mind moving there? It'll be easier for Mr. Lee to sit where you are and learn from Miss Yang, he said. You can better teach Miss Yu from the new seat as well. Jiwon almost burst with joy. It had been so uncomfortable sitting next to Minwon, but it wasn't like she could just move. People's eyes were already watching her. She'd basically been waiting for the day to submit her resignation letter. No, of course. I don't mind. I'll move right away, Mr. Lee. Will you help me switch the computers? Jiwon asked casually. Minwon's face crumpled. Obviously, she didn't care. Of course I will. Jun-suk was all smiles as he helped Jiwon move desks. Thanks to him, her relocation was over in an instant. Jiwon sat in her new chair feeling refreshed. She even high-fived Hugh-yeon. Jun-suk sat down in her former seat. Internally, Jaron was glad to see Jun-suk, even though he'd been annoyingly fastidious during their first meeting. However, after they began working together, he displayed a surprising drive and fair amount of competence. With his skills, she was confident she could use him well, even if it was his first time in marketing. Joran turned around and greeted him brightly. Welcome! We're really teammates now. He smiled. I'm lucky to be your teammate. I'm lucky you're here, Joran replied. Let's do good work together. Mr. Yu, I have a question, Hugh-yeon shouted as she raised her hand. Ji-hyuk's eyes fell on her instantly. Go on. Aren't we going to have a company dinner? We need to welcome Mr. Lee. I thought you would ask that. Everyone laughed except for Ji-hyuk, who never laughed, and Minwon. Let's have a simple dinner. Attend only if you want to come, but if you don't, you can skip without worrying about it, Ji-hyuk said. Miss Yu, since you brought it up, please contact a restaurant and make a reservation after receiving confirmation from Miss Kang. Yay! Thank you! Good food tastes better with company money. Hugh-yeon's heart beat faster as she thought of a free dinner. She opened the list of delicious restaurants she'd meticulously created. Let's see, what will be tasty, she sang. Hugh-yeon's restaurant picks were always a success. Thanks to her, their department's company dinner participation rate was 98%. Essentially, everyone went except for Jaron. I want to go and eat too. Jiwon swallowed, thinking about what kind of restaurant they'd go to today. Except she'd made plans to meet with Suman later today after work. Should she go to the company dinner or meet up with Suman and get whatever Suman wanted to give her? Her head shouted Suman, but her stomach shouted the company dinner. The indecision was leading Jinwon into an endless loop of consideration. I've made my decision, Miss Kang, Hugh Yeon said solemnly, sending her an email. Proposition: today's company dinner location and costs. Hugh Yeon had picked quite a fancy restaurant. A photo of a table loaded with juicy steaks, neatly plated pasta, and red wine in elegant glasses captivated Jiwon. She couldn't miss this dinner. What do you think? Isn't it wonderful? The quality for the price is incredible, Hugh Yeon explained. It's cheaper than all of us hustling to some random place and getting soju and pork belly. I've been here before. The pasta was out of this world. Perfect. If there was a department for company dinners, you would be department head, Jiwon said sincerely. She confirmed the proposition. I'll just tell Suman we should meet tomorrow. She paused when she opened her phone and reread Suman's message. I have something to give you. Do you want to meet after you get off work today? What is Suman scheming this time? She suddenly became curious. Suman and Minwon were getting married. Minwon wanted to keep it a secret. Suman was trying to give her something. There was only one thing someone might have to give a friend before getting married: a wedding invitation. How had the wedding invitation been passed out in her first life again? Jiwon combed through her memories. It had been at a company dinner. Jiwon had been frozen, still not used to company dinners, so Minwon had passed out the invitations one by one. You're really getting married? She didn't look up, but she could hear people's incredulous voices. Congratulations, Mr. Park. Live well together. Jiwon looked down at her lap. She couldn't bear to face the people asking why Minwon was getting married to someone like her. In the midst of it, Suman made a fuss, beyond happy for some reason. This is so great, Jiwon. You two will go so well together, Suman said. You'll let me catch the bouquet, won't you? Right? Everyone, let's all clap for this perfect couple. It was a wedding invitation that no one was genuinely excited to receive. Jiwon snapped out of the memory. Hugh Yeon. Hugh Yeon stopped poring over the menu and turned to Jiwon. Yes? When you made the reservation, can you do it under my name? Jiwon asked. You want me to reserve it under your name? Yes, please. Hugh Yeon grinned. Sure. Jiwon smiled as she listened to Hugh Yeon make the reservation. Ooh, I feel something good about to happen. Suman sang as she twirled in front of the mirror, dressed to the nine. Her light blue dress floated around her like a cloud. Suman, where are you going? Oh my gosh. Suman jumped as Jaeok came in without knocking. She feigned a bright voice. I'm going to give my friend one of my wedding invitations. Jaeok scowled. Your dress is too short. How can a pregnant woman wear something like that? The dress came to her knees. It was what Suman considered a normal length. It is a normal length, Suman. We will agree on that. Suman stretched out the cloth and protested. It's not that short. Besides, if it's awkwardly long, it makes my legs look thick. Completely ignoring her, Jaeok threw the doors of the closet open wide. This is too short, too. This one's patterns are too frivolous, she said, shifting through the clothes. What's this? Throw it away immediately. No, I'll organize everything and throw them all out for you. Suman watched Jaeok dig through all her dresses. Eventually, she pulled out a black dress that came to her ankles. This is somewhat better. Wear this. Suman frowned. It's too behind the trends. Pregnant women shouldn't care about trends. If you go on around dressing so flippantly, it will reflect poorly on our household, Jaeok said. You're not just a young lady anymore. You're the daughter-in-law of the Park family, Minwon's wife, and our little general's mother. Suman's bones shook as Jaeok's piercing voice Suman's bones shook at Jaeok's piercing voice. She wanted to say something, but she knew she couldn't complain. Jaeok was her only support here. In the end, Sumin reluctantly wore the old-fashioned black dress and called Jiwon. Hi, Sumin. Jiwon's voice was a bit dark when she answered the phone. Sumin felt better hearing it. You're done with work now, right? Where should we meet? Let's go to a nice place, Jiwon said. What about steak and pasta? Wow, I love steak and pasta more than anything else in this world, Suman said, exaggerating her excitement. She could hear Jiwon laughing, but it sounded forced. Great, I'll text you the location. I'll put the reservation under Jiwon Kang for 7 o'clock. Suman got the text and confirmed the restaurant's location. Then she checked her makeup with the hand mirror. Her outfit was horrible, but her hair was curled nicely and her face was still pretty. She beamed at her own reflection. See you later, Jiwon. Oh, we will see. You will see her later. And everybody else from work. Oh, gosh, it's going to be so good. So that was the end of chapter 60, of course. Of course. Kind of a cliffhanger. But it's fine. It's fine. We found out Subin is completely, utterly lying about being pregnant. She isn't pregnant with somebody else's kid. She got a fake pregnancy test. And I'm loving that Minwon's mom totally dropped her facade of acting like a sweet mother-in-law. She's a bully. She's old school. She's sexist or misogynist. And I love that she's forcing Suman to drink these disgusting drinks. Suman is getting exactly what she deserves. You want to act like you're pregnant? Now act like it. Drink this nasty shit. Jiwon's plan, I can't wait till it comes to fruition, which we'll have to watch in the next videos because this is the last one for this group of 5. But let's read some of the comments for this chapter. No wonder Minwon is infertile. His mother never had any carp extract. Jiwon is the goat for this one. Yes. If Minwon didn't want his colleagues to find out, they are now. I hope the next chapter comes soon. Yes. I can't wait to find out how Suman reacts. She did the same thing to Jiwon with the high school reunion. My, how the tables turn. Exactly. That's the other thing too. She's doing to Suman what she did to her in the past. And I can't wait. I cannot wait. She'll be like, oh, I thought it was just the 2 of us. No, it's everybody, including your future husband. Hopefully. I hope Minwon's there. I feel like he'll go. Because it'll give him an excuse to not be around his mom and Suman. But little does he know, Suman's about to pop up. But that's it for these 5 chapters. It's getting so good, y'all. It's getting so good. We're on chapter 60. Well, I just finished chapter 60. I hope you've been enjoying the series. I have been enjoying it. I've been enjoying reading it. I've been enjoying just following the story and getting more details that we couldn't get before and getting more character insight. But if you like the video, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to leave an emoji, leave a fish for Suman and her carp extract. And I hope you have a great day, night, afternoon, whatever time it is that you're listening. And I will talk at you later. Bye.